Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into the Saturday edition on my YouTube channel. As everybody knows that's subscribed, this is the day I do my normal week preview. I dive into all the matchups, give my takeaways from the Thursday night game. So why don't I just go ahead and dive into this and start talking about Thursday night? We saw the Browns win that. It was looking like they were going to pull away and kind of win by a good margin, but Broncos fought back, but the Browns were able to close it out. Browns won 17-14. A couple takeaways, news items that came out from that game. Let's just go ahead, I guess, and start with the Broncos. Von Miller suffered a sprained ankle. He said he's confident he won't miss time, but where is this Broncos team going forward? Let's be honest. They started the season 3-0. They were looking good in quotation marks just because they were playing. I think at that time the three teams they beat didn't have a win. So they started facing better teams. They had not been able to beat a team with a winning record, or I guess a decent record, which should be a better way to put it. And I don't know where they're going to go for. They got simply outcoached. They lost to a team that, yeah, the Browns are a really good team, but they were missing Baker Mayfield, missing their top backs, they're missing a top tackle and a number of other players on the roster. And if the Broncos were going to be taken serious as maybe like a legit wild card contender, that's a game they're supposed to win. So I don't know where they go from here. Vic Fangio's seat is definitely getting hotter by the moment, and you start to wonder if maybe they need to start getting rid of assets to start maybe getting some draft capital for the future. If they don't win next weekend before that trade deadline, which I believe, if I remember, is on November 2nd. I mean, I know they don't ever would want to do it, but Von Miller technically is on the last year of his contract. Maybe a title contender that needs an edge rusher could reach out to Denver and see if they can rent him out for the rest of the season. We'll see if that would happen. That's just me just kind of thinking big term picture on that. And then for the Browns, obviously they get that huge win after suffering that rough loss to the Arizona the previous on Sunday. One little note on Baker Mayfield. It came out he has a fractured shoulder bone. I believe it's a humerus. He's got the fully torn labrum. They got to let the bone heal. And then once the bone's fully healed, he's supposed to be able to play. And they can do things to make that labrum really tough to go throughout the season so he doesn't have to have surgery on it, which would basically end his season. I'm no doctor. I might have said something wrong in my explanation about that. But he's saying he's trying to be back next week. The team is hoping he'll be back next week. There's some doctors out there that think maybe he's going to miss maybe at least a few weeks. So we'll have to see how he can manage his pain and the tolerance and how fast that bone can heal. But they got the Pittsburgh Steelers next week, so that's a huge game. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes for Cleveland going forward because they're so banged up right now. But they have to get everyone they can because, you got the Ravens who are up there on top of the AFC North with just that one loss. The Bengals are sitting there with only 2 losses. Steelers have turned around their season. They'll be coming off that bye week for that matchup next week. So Cleveland's going to try to stack together some wins, get healthy, and see where they go going forward. But I trust Kevin Stefanski. I mean, that's why I did pick the Browns to win that game on Thursday night because even with all those injuries, I'm like, he's going to outcoach Vic Fangio, and that's definitely what happened. And then go ahead and put a bow on the Thursday night game. The prospect encyclopedia player of Thursday night, I'm going with the top guy on the Browns list in the book this year, Greg Newsom. He had 3 tackles and he had a pass deflection. But if you watch him throughout the game, he's doing really good things against guys like Courtland Sutton. He was really sticky in his coverage. He was moving his hips very well. I mean, yeah, he let, not let, but like Courtland Sutton got that one-handed catch on him against the sideline. But dude, he was like right there. That was like perfect coverage. You can't really do much better than maybe turning his head around quicker so he can locate the ball and get the pass deflection. But he's been dealing with injuries himself. So this is their first-round rookie cornerback that is getting the playing time, getting the experience, and he's already looking like he's going to be a good, solid starting cornerback in this league, and he'll only get better with more snaps and more reps. So I like the things that Greg Newsom showed on Thursday night, and then once Denzel Ward can maybe get past these injuries he's been dealing with, I like this little tandem they got between Greg Newsom and Denzel Ward. They also got Troy Hill in the middle. They got Greedy Williams, who's somebody I really liked in his draft classes a couple years ago. They got a really nice little secondary there in Cleveland. So yeah, that's my prospect encyclopedia player of Thursday Night Football. If you want to read Greg Newsom's report along with all the other Browns reports and the rest of the NFL, go to prospectencyclopedia.com to order it. You can get the entire PDF for $15. If you're a Browns fan, you get the PDF for just $1, or you can even check out the Buck section for free, which I wrote that one. If that impresses you, then you can go make the full purchase of the book. Again, go to prospectencyclopedia.com to check that out. So let me just go ahead and dive into these games. There's not a lot of great matchups this weekend. There's definitely some lopsided matchups where you kind of know who's going to win. And then you got a lot of teams. I believe it's 6 teams on a bye week. So and there's pretty good teams too that are on a bye week. So we'll have to see how this plays. A lot of people are like, "Oh, we got a stinker of a weekend." I'm just going to go ahead and say this. It probably may happen, but if I remember right, it seems like every year we have a weekend like this where people are like, "Oh man, these matchups stink. There's only like 1 or 2 good games." That usually probably means there's going to be an upset or two, or at least the games are going to be close. I would not be surprised if that happens tomorrow like that. So why don't I just go ahead and dive in? I'm going to start with the 1 p.m. Eastern games. Now, this is definitely a top game on this week's slate. We got the Kansas City Chiefs traveling out to Tennessee to face the Titans. Let's dive into the injury reports really quick for the Chiefs. These 3 players are out. Michael Burton with the pectoral, Jody Fortson with an Achilles, Anthony Hitchens with the triceps. And then these 4 players are questionable. Tyreek Hill with the quad, Joe Thuney with the hand, Chris Jones with the hand, and then Charvarius Ward with a quad. And then these 3 players are out for the Titans. Taylor Lewan with a concussion, Chester Rogers with a groin, Monty Rice with a groin, and then these 4 players are questionable. Julio Jones with a hamstring, Jeremy McNichols with an ankle, Bud Dupree with a knee, and then Amani Hooker with a groin. So yeah, let's see. This is a pretty interesting matchup because you basically got 2 offenses that can go off on any given game. I mean, we saw what the Titans did last week with how Derrick Henry's obviously playing already early in the season, and then you got Patrick Mahomes, which can torch a defense on any given moment. And then you got 2 different defenses that are really struggling this year to stop really anything on the ground or really to stop anything through the air. So it definitely is setting this up for to be a barn burner type of matchup. Starting with the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, it's Patrick Mahomes. Like, I know the defense is having struggles, but he's still having a pretty good year. Yes, he definitely has starting to turn the ball over. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a regression, if it's just like some of the chances he used to take in the past are starting to kind of bite him in the butt this year. But he definitely is turning the ball over more this season. But I just think at the end of the day, it's Patrick Mahomes with his arm talent. He's going against this Tennessee defense that is their secondary struggling right now. They just lost their first-round pick, Caleb Farley, for the season with a torn ACL. So their secondary's down one of their top guys. So that's going to allow even a banged-up Tyreek Hill to eat. That's going to allow Travis Kelce to eat. I wouldn't be surprised if Mecole Hardman or Demarcus Robinson have a good game. So I do think the Chiefs are going to be able to move the ball pretty easily against this Titans offense, and they're going to be in position to score more times than not. And then you switch sides of the ball, and basically the same thing, right? So like the Titans are just going to feed Derrick Henry all day, or they're going to see if this Kansas City defense can stop him. And that's what they're probably going to lean on, because if the best defense against Patrick Mahomes, as outside of getting those turnovers, which he's done this year, is to keep him on the sideline. So you're going to see a lot of Derrick Henry. You're going to see a lot of read option that gives Tannehill the option to run the ball, and they're going to obviously use that RPO with A.J. Brown. He's going to play. I think it sounds like Julio's good to go, even though he's listed as questionable. And they're just going to have to try to play clock control and be efficient with their drives to make sure they do convert those drives into touchdowns and not have to settle for field goals. I think this is going to be a back and forth battle. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter. I think when it gets to the fourth quarter, it's either going to come down to who has the ball last, or who can make a crucial turnover in the fourth quarter. It just hit me. I see it happening. Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger himself, is going to get an interception in the fourth quarter. I'm going to call this. If it doesn't happen, you're never going to hear it from me. But if it does happen, I'm going to clip this out and post it on Twitter and social media. I think Honey Badger comes up with the interception in the fourth quarter to help close out the game. I must pick the Chiefs to win this. I'm going to say the Chiefs win a 31-27 win in Tennessee. And then let's go ahead and move on to this next matchup. I'm going to go ahead. Let's see. We got Washington football team heading out to Green Bay to face the Packers. Let's take a look at the football team's injury report. These 4 players are out. Sam Cosmi with an ankle, Curtis Samuel with a groin, Brandon Scherf with a knee, and Cam Sims with a hamstring. I already don't like that they're out 2 of their offensive linemen and 2 of their skill position players. That does not bode well for them. And then these 3 players are questionable. Antonio Gibson with a shin, William Jackson with a knee, and Shaka Toney with an illness. And then on the Packers side, these 2 players are out. Dennis Kelly with a back, Josh Myers with a knee. And then these 3 players are questionable. Darnell Savage with a concussion, Preston Smith with an oblique, and then Kevin King with a shoulder. So with this matchup, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the Washington football team's offense. I just don't know how much. I mean, the Packers' defense is like okay this year. At times they can look decent, but then at times that secondary can struggle, especially now that Jair Alexander's been on IR. So it's going to be interesting to see how the football team will be able to move the ball against the Packers offense. Packers defense. Now, what they really need is they need to hopefully Antonio Gibson's shin injury doesn't pop up as an issue in this game. Now, if they can maybe somehow figure out a way to get this rushing attack going between Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic, I know McKissic won't get him any rushing touches, but they can get those running backs going where they can, grind out the clock and play clock control. Just like I said about the Titans, if they can keep Aaron Rodgers on the sideline, and then if they can convert those drives into touchdowns, maybe they can squeeze it out. But Brandon Scherf's one of their best, if not he's their best offensive lineman. He's out. Their rookie Sam Cosmi, who's played really well on the right side, is out. So that's their right guard and their right tackle are out. That's going to allow like Kenny Clark to eat up in the middle, and then like Rashawn Gary or like a Preston Smith, whoever they want to line up on that side, to come off the edge and get after Taylor Heineke. And then what that does is that creates pressure, and when that kid's underneath pressure, he's got to make quick decisions, and that's where those interceptions or potential turnovers happen. So I just see the football team having a rough day on offense. They're going to probably stall more times than not. And then you flip sides of the ball. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. I don't really got to say much more on that. They're going against the football team's defense, which has absolutely been disappointing this year. I mean, unless that front 4 absolutely dominates in the trenches and Aaron Rodgers is underneath immediate pressure right away, I don't see how they slow down the Packers offense, because that secondary has struggled. Their best cornerback, William Jackson, is questionable. So that's going to allow Devontae Adams to eat and the rest of that group to eat. So I think the Packers are going to be in that scoring position more times than not. They're going to at least get finished drives with field goals, get those touchdowns. I think the Packers handle their business in Green Bay. I think they win like, let's say they win like a 28-17 type of win tomorrow. And then moving on to now this would probably be, I would say this is one of the top matchups of the weekend. I'm definitely excited about. You got the Cincinnati Bengals traveling out to Baltimore to face the Ravens. Taking a look at the Cincinnati injury report, only 2 players popped up as questionable. Jalen Davis with an ankle, and Tyler Sheldon is listed with non-injury related illness. And then on the Ravens side, 2 players are out. Latavius Murray is out with an ankle injury, as well as Sammy Watkins with a thigh. And then these 4 players are questionable. Bradley Bozeman with a back, Alejandro Villanueva with a knee, Tavon Young with a knee, and then Patrick Queen with a thigh. Now, man, this Ravens team, they got something special going on. It honestly doesn't make no sense that they because this week they placed their starting left tackle, Ronnie Stanley. He hasn't played in like a month, but they finally placed him on IR and his season's officially done, they announced. So that's 17 players that this team has put on IR, and somehow they are 5-1. It honestly doesn't make much sense. It just shows you how great of a player Lamar Jackson is and how special he is, because he's basically has put this team on his back and has carried this team to victories. Literally did that against my Colts. And then it just shows you how great of a coach John Harbaugh is, because he can take whatever pieces he is given to him and he can create that into a good football team. So yeah, the Ravens are doing some really good things right now. I kind of feel like at some point these injuries are going to catch up to them, but I can't deny that until I see it happening. But maybe I do with my pick. I don't know where I'm leaning towards as I'm talking about it. But yeah, I mean the Ravens offense, they're doing good things in the air this year. Marquise Brown is blown up in year 3. They got Rashad Bateman back in the lineup last week, and they got obviously their boy Mark Andrews. So their passing attack, they should be able to work it against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. Now, where I'm looking at this is that Cincinnati defensive front four has been very solid this year. So if their guys like DJ Reader in the middle, and then like Trey Hendrickson on the outside, Sam Hubbard, if they can control their gaps, and their linebackers Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis Gaither can help like slow down the rushing potential of Lamar Jackson, and then if they can do a decent job in coverage, like Lamar's having a good year this year. He's definitely improved as a passer on the outside in his deep shots. So if they can somewhat keep that in check, I think they can stall the Ravens offense, but I think the Ravens offense is still going to put together probably at least like 2 to 3 touchdown drives in the afternoon. Now you flip sides of the ball, Joey Burrow is playing really good football right now. Jamar Chase is playing really good football right now. I think T. Higgins is going to have a good game. That's where I'm kind of leaning towards. I think also Tyler Boyd's going to work that slot against this Ravens secondary. Now that they got I think this is where this is going to happen is like they got Marlon Humphrey, right? He's going to do his thing, but like Anthony Everett has struggled in coverage because he's replaced Marcus Peters. I drew a blank there, guys. Sorry about that. And then they can also got CJ Uzomah. So I think they're going to be able to work against the secondary. So as long as the offensive line can give Joe some time to throw the ball, I think he's going to pick them apart on drives, and he's going to put together 2 to 3 scoring drives. I think this is going to be a very good AFC North battle between both teams. I think they're going to kind of slug it out for 3 to 4 quarters, and it's going to come down to who has the ball last in the fourth quarter. Man, I want to pick Baltimore because they are the home team. It just makes sense. They're one of the hotter teams, but I really do. I just think these injuries at some point are going to catch up to them. And then this is a big statement game for Cincinnati. Like, yeah, the Cincinnati Bengals, they beat the Steelers a few weeks back, but that was kind of when the Steelers were kind of struggling to find in their own case. If there's a way that if they already beat the Steelers, right? If they can beat the Ravens on the road, this shows not only their division, but the rest of the AFC that they are going to be Now I want to say Super Bowl contenders quite yet, but they're going to be playoff contenders in the AFC. So I'm gonna do it. Yeah, Bengals find a way. They find a way to squeeze out a victory on the road against Baltimore. They win a 24-21 win against Baltimore tomorrow. I'm picking my man Joe Burrow. I just like that kid way too much, probably for my own good. But I'm gonna stick with the Bengals pick there. They win 24-21. Next matchup, we got Carolina traveling up to New York to face the Giants. Let's take a look at the Panthers injury report. These 3 players are out. Terrace Marshall with a concussion, Shaq Thompson with a foot, Giovanni Ricci with a concussion, and then these 2 players are questionable. Alex Erickson with a concussion, and then Cameron Irving with a neck and illness. And then on the Giants side, these players, my script kind of jumped down. These 3 players are out. Saquon Barkley with an ankle, Kenny Golladay with a knee, and Kadarius Toney with an ankle. Danny Shelton is doubtful with his pec injury, and these players are questionable. John Ross with a hamstring, Darius Slayton with a hamstring, Sterling Shepard with a hamstring, and Evan Ingram with his calf. So a lot of skill position and players are out for those New York Giants tomorrow. Well, questionable for the Giants tomorrow. So since I just mentioned that, why don't I just start with the Giants offense? They're struggling right now. I mean, I don't want to even say it's Daniel Jones' fault. It's mainly because you only can miss so many players before it catches up to you, and it's a detriment to the offense. Obviously, missing Saquon hurts, missing Kenny Golladay hurts, Kadarius Toney hurts. I think Sterling Shepard, he had a setback where he's probably not going to play. Even if Darius Slayton or John Ross or Evan Ingram play, they're going to be less than 100%. But they are going against the Panthers defense that is, they've been pretty solid against the run this year. But I mean, we saw what Kirk Cousins was able to do to them at times last week. So I could definitely see some drives where Daniel Jones could put together some scoring drives. But I just think the lack of threat from their skill position players is just nothing that's going to scare the Panthers defense, where they can play kind of I want to say like conservative, but like they don't have that threat of somebody like just beating them, right? So like there's not that one guy, like they don't have to focus on Saquon or anything like that. So I think they're going to be able to play sound defense and keep this Giants offense in check throughout the most of the day. Maybe the Giants score two touchdown drives, but I just don't see much success coming from the Giants offense tomorrow. And then you move sides of the ball. I mean, talk about some. Man, this game's gonna be ugly, isn't it? It just really is. Like the Panthers offense just hasn't been the same since Christian McCaffrey's exited the lineup. Ever since he left the game against the Texans, Sam Darnold just looked like the real Sam Darnold. He's been turning the ball over, and I think it's probably going to continue tomorrow. Like, I really do. I think the Giants defense, like, they still have the pieces of a good defense, in my opinion. I just think they have been underwhelming this year. But I think with how bad the Carolina offensive line is, I think they're going to be able to keep their rushing attack in check. And I think they're going to be able to get after Sam Darnold and force him to early decisions and force him into bad plays. So I really don't see much success out of this Panthers offense. I do think there will be a couple drives because that Giants defense, they have had struggles against the passing attack this year. That's where my disappointments began, is I thought that secondary would be a lot better than how they have performed. So unless they kind of play to their level of talent, yeah, I think maybe there's going to be like a touchdown or drive by both teams. I mean, by the Panthers offense with Sam Darnold. But I think he's probably going to throw at least a turnover or at least maybe fumble or something's going to happen. So, man, I see a very bad game from both offenses. I think actually, as I talk about it, because I don't trust the Panthers offense with Sam Darnold, I think there are going to be the Giants might have an opportunity to win this in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair. If I was a betting man, I think I would bet the under in this matchup. Man, I'm having a tough time picking this game because everything says the Panthers should win it, and everything says the Giants lose it. I kind of leaning towards the Giants because they're at home. Why don't I do this? Graham Gano, the former Panthers kicker, he kicks a game-winning field goal at the end of the game. Giants win 17-14. I'm doing it. Giants win. They somehow win a low-scoring, ugly game that's not on red zone too much. Graham Gano gets a game-winning field goal against his former team. They win 17-14. Honestly, I can't believe I just did that. But I just don't trust the Panthers right now. I don't hate Sam Darnold. I don't hate a player. I just don't like him as a player. But yeah, let me go ahead and move into the next matchup. We got the Atlanta Falcons traveling down to the Miami to face the Dolphins. As far as injuries on the Falcons side, Dante Fowler is out with his knee injury, and then Avery Williams is doubtful with his hamstring injury. And then these, 7 players are questionable for Miami. Xavier Howard with a shoulder and groin, Byron Jones with an Achilles and groin, Greg Mance with a groin, Jalen Phillips with an ankle, Preston Williams with a groin, Devontae Parker with a shoulder groin injury, and then Noah Igbenogany with a knee injury. So, let's just go ahead and dive into this. This is a very weird matchup for me right now because, earlier in this week I was like, oh, I think this is the game the Dolphins kind of maybe do some right things, right? Like, I think this is a perfect matchup where they're going against a bad defense, that Tua can get some positive things going, their offense can get some positive things going, their defense can get some positive things going because they're going against an offense that, they have the weapons with Kyle Pitts and Calvin Ridley. Matt Ryan still can throw the rock. So I thought maybe, they could get some positive things going. And then, what was it? Wednesday? Yeah, all of a sudden the bombshell dropped. That wasn't not necessarily a bombshell. This has been rumored for quite some time. but some respectable people that would be in the know came out and basically said, the Dolphins might be trading for Deshaun Watson. So, and then you're like, man, that just, how does that like affect Tua's mindset, right? How does it affect the team's mindset? It seems like within that Miami organization, there's like the owners pulling them one way, the front office is pulling them one way, and the coaching staff is pulling them one way. And typically, if all three are pulling in different directions where they want this team to go, that doesn't necessarily lead to a good product on the field. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think players are going to play the game. So, like, focusing like on the Miami offense, I think they're going to be able to do some things on the offense through the air. I think Tua still is going to be able to put up a good game. I know he was a start for me on my fantasy starts and sits, which if you haven't watched yet, please go back and watch that. That was published on Wednesday. I still think Tua's going to have a good game. I think he can work things with Jalen Waddle, especially against that secondary that's not that great right now. So I think the Miami offense is going to be able to put some scoring drives together. I just wonder if like all the outside noise is going to affect their play on the field. And then Atlanta's offense did finally kind of show some decent things against, I know it was the Jets, but they still put together some nice things the last time we saw them in London. Kyle Pitts had his breakout game. I could see him doing some good things against that Dolphins offense. They got Calvin Ridley back in the lineup, and then if Xavier Howard and Byron Jones can't go tomorrow, I think Calvin Ridley absolutely blows up against that Miami defense. And then I could see, Cordero Patterson having a good game, maybe Mike Davis even having a good game. And man, like I want to pick the Dolphins just because I think they're the better overall team. But man, there is just too much bad juju or bad vibes or whatever you wanted to call it around the Miami organization right now. I just don't know how that portrays into on-field success for Miami. So I'm going to pick the Falcons. Like, I really want to pick the Dolphins, but I'm going to go ahead and pick the Falcons to find a way to win. I say they win like, let's say, I don't know, like a 21-17 win. I'll say it's close. Maybe Miami has a chance to win because, like I said, I feel like Miami should be the better team tomorrow. I just don't trust all that in outside noise. And plus, you're talking about Howard's banged up, Jones is banged up, Jalen Phillips is banged up, Devontae Parker's banged up. Even though he hasn't like shown up as a first-round rookie, Noah Igbenogany is banged up, and he's their backup to the starting cornerback. So I'm gonna go with the Falcons. They win like a 21-17 win. And then we got the New York Jets traveling up to New England to face the Patriots. Let me knock out the Jets report. As far as the Jets injury report, Tyler Kroft is out with a back injury, and then C.J. Mosley is doubtful with his hamstring, and Tevin Coleman is questionable with his hamstring. And this is what I kind of laughed and smiled about. Everybody kind of knows I report on, who has the most players on the final injury report. It's the Patriots this week. You want to know how many players they have on the final injury report? They have 16 players. And I do apologize. I forgot to put up Titans Bowl and Water, so he's making his weekly appearance, I guess. I don't know why. My dog loves to eat and drink water when I talk about football for some reason. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into these 16 players. Jonathan Jones is out with a shoulder. Shaun Wade is out with a concussion. And then these 14 players are questionable for the Patriots. Devon Godchaux with a finger. Dante Hightower with an elbow and ankle. Deatrick Wise Jr. with a knee. Christian Barmore with a shoulder. Jawan Bentley with a ribs. Brandon Bolden with a thigh. Kyle Duggar with a knee. Nick Folk with a knee. Brandon King with a thigh. Shaq Mason with an abdomen. Jalen Mills with a hamstring. Adrian Phillips with a back. Josh Uche with a shoulder. And wrapping it up with Kyle Van Noy with a groin. Sheesh. Now, let's just say this. The last time the Jets and Patriots played, you had Zach Wilson, the Jets quarterback, the rookie quarterback, have a typical rookie quarterback performance against a Bill Belichick-led defense where he threw those 4 interceptions. And then, I think it was the next week, they beat the Titans. Zach Wilson showed some good things. And then the last time we saw them was in London when they did not show up, and it was a very rough outing for the Jets team. So it's like, what team are we going to see from the Jets this week? They're coming off a bye week. Now, all odds say, Patriots have played some good football against good teams like the Bucks, like the Cowboys. They've shown up. But it's like, for me, those 16 players on the injury report are like screaming to pick the Jets. I don't know why. Like, I don't want to trust the Jets. I mean, let me just start with the Jets offense. I think Zach Wilson's got some talent in his arm, right? So if he could take advantage of all these injuries, especially on the defense that New England's dealing with, and he can work the ball to Corey Davis, maybe they can get Elijah Mitchell going this matchup, get Michael Carter going on the ground game, and they can, they can work and get themselves in scoring position more times than not. And if Zach Wilson, this is where it's going to come down to, if he can protect the ball and does not turn over the ball, I like their chances of put together some scoring drives against New England tomorrow. And then same thing with the then flipping sides of the ball, like the Patriots offense, but they are going against this New York Jets defense, which, at times they kind of look good, but then at times they're still the New York Jets defense, right? So I think Mac Jones is going to be able to, manipulate the ball down the field. I think Damian Harris is going to have a good game. He's going to be able to work the ball to his tight ends, Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, and he should be able to put together a couple scoring drives on Sunday. But if anything, the Jets are coming off a bye week, right? So they're fully prepared. They're as healthy as they can be going against a super banged up Patriots team. If there was a time for their head coach, man, why am I drawing a blank on the head? I see his bald face. I see his bald face inside my head right now, and I am drawing a blank on him. But yeah, Robert Saleh. I should know him. I actually locked eyes with that guy once in my my football career. But yeah, if there was ever a time for Robert Saleh to make his imprint, to make his statement to the rest of the AFC East that he's here to be the head coach of the New York Jets for a long time, it is to beat Bill Belichick in New England with this current Jets team. I think he's going to get it done, guys. I really think these injuries are going to catch up to the Patriots this week. And I think Zach Wilson's going to put together a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter. And I'm picking the Jets. I am. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Jets in the upset. I told you earlier at the beginning of this episode, this weekend's going to be weird. A lot of people think there's going to be a lot of easy wins. A lot of people are betting on the Patriots. I think the Jets find a way to get it done. I'm gonna pick the Jets to win let's go with a 24-20 win for New York. They're down 17-20. Zach Wilson puts together a touchdown drive to give the upset. And the Jets win. Robert Saleh gets his statement win in his first year as the head coach for the Jets. And then I'm gonna go ahead, keep it moving. Those are all the 1 p.m. games. We do have the 4 p.m. games. And if anybody remembers my previous videos, I used to rant about the NFL with their scheduling during the bye weeks where they maybe only have 2 or 3 games on the 4 p.m. slot time, because then it kind of ruins red zone when there's only like 2 or 3 games. I will give them credit with all the teams on the bye. I thought that would be this week, but we actually have 4 different 4 p.m. games that people can flip between. If they are indeed getting beat in blowouts. But the first game I want to talk about is the Philadelphia Eagles. They are traveling out to the Las Vegas to face the Raiders. Very short injury reports on both sides. With the Eagles, Anthony Harris, I found this weird. Most of the time people list it's a hand injury. The Eagles have him listed as hands, so I don't know what he did with his hands, like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, but he's injured his hands and groin. He's questionable. Jack Anderson's questionable with the hamstring. And then on the Raiders side, Nick Bowers is questionable with his neck injury. So obviously, yeah, the Raiders came off. I was completely wrong, right? Like I totally was not buying into the interim head coach galvanizing their team to a win. That's on me. I mean, I should have known better. It is a proven thing where the interim head coach can get the team a win in the first game after the coach is resigned or fired, but we'll have to see if that can carry over. Obviously, if there's a team that maybe they could carry that over, it is against Philadelphia because we don't know who this Philadelphia team really is. You know, at times they look competitive, and then at times they look like, what are you guys doing? Why is Miles Sanders only have two? I about said the effing word, and I'm not afraid to swear. Everybody knows me in real life. I'm not afraid to drop the F bomb, but I do try to keep it PG on my shows. But like, what the F are you doing? Only giving Miles Sanders 2 touches in the first half. But I think we're gonna see some decent things from the Eagles offense. I do think this Raiders defense though is a lot better than what I thought it could be entering the season. I think the addition of guys like the cornerback Casey Hayward has made a nice addition to that defense. I think Yannick Ngakoue has been a nice addition for that defense. So I think this Raiders defense will show up at times, and they're going to harass Jalen Hurts. He's going to have to get the ball out of his hands at a quicker rate. But I do think they're able to. I think at times this Eagles offense is going to stall. There are going to be sacks by the Raiders defense, and they might be able to force a turnover or two. But I do think there are going to be times where the Eagles put together some good things. I think they're going to. I think this is the week. I think. I don't know. Come on. The fucking. There you go. I just dropped it because I'm so upset because like I feel like this offense could be ran at a better rate if you use your running back Miles Sanders. So I think this is the week they get things going with him. Zach Ertz is gone, so I think Dallas Goedert's going to have a good game as well. I still think they'll be able to put together 2-3 scoring drives, but I think the Raiders defense will make them stall at times. And then you flip sides of the ball, the Raiders offense, you know, they did show some good things against that Broncos defense, but as we saw on Thursday night, I don't know if that Broncos defense is what I thought it was or what I thought it was going to be this year. So we'll have to see. The Eagles' defense isn't perfect by no means, but Javon Hargrave has been playing some really good football, and that Raiders' offensive line it's not that great. So if they can kind of eat up that middle of that offensive line with Javon Hargrave, and then that can allow guys on the edge like Derek Barnett or Josh Sweat to come off the edge and get early pressure on Derek Carr. You know, as I always say every single time, get early pressure on Derek Carr. That's where he is at his worst. That's where he makes poor decisions. That's where he can't deliver on his throws. So I can see that happening, but I do think Henry Ruggs will be able to take the top off this defense a couple times in this game. I kind of view the Raiders and the Eagles offense as like in the same boat. Like I think they're going to stall throughout the day, but I think they're going to be able to put together 2 to 3 touchdown drives. I think this is going to be a game that kind of comes down to the fourth quarter. I think it's a battle of, I can't really say 2 bad teams. I would say 2 average teams. In the fourth quarter, they're going to kind of go back and forth. Who can maybe force a turnover? Who maybe has the ball last? I'm not buying into this interim head. Look, it's probably going to bite me in the butt, not buying into the interim head coach thing. Again, but I am going to pick the Eagles to win on the road. I say they win like a 20-17 win for the Eagles. I say they win by 3. I'm just not buying the interim head coach thing for the Raiders. At some point, it's going to catch up to them. And then this one might be very quick, guys. But we got the Detroit Lions traveling out to LA to face the Rams. We got double revenge games. Jared Goff going against the Rams. Matthew Stafford going against the Lions. Let me take a quick look at these injury reports. On the Lions side, 4 players are questionable. Jason Kabenda with his hip, Trey Flowers with his knee, TJ Hawkinson with a knee, and then DeAndre Swift with a groin. And then the Rams only have 1 player on their final injury report. That's Sony Michel with his shoulder injury. So, yeah, I mean, let's just go ahead and dive into it. It sounds like the Rams want to show the Detroit organization a reminder of who they had and what they could have done if they did the right thing and build around Matthew Stafford with a good team, right? So I think the Rams are going to put up a lot of points. I think they're going to be able to move the ball easily against this Detroit defense that has struggled heavily this season. I think Darrell Henderson's going to have a huge game on the ground. And when he's having that huge game on the ground, that's going to open up play action shots. So I don't know who it's going to be, but the play action shots are going to go deep to Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, Deshaun Jackson. One of those guys are going to there's going to be at least, I think, 2 different play action deep shots for touchdowns on the day. I think Stafford goes for over 300 yards and gets to 3 to 4 touchdowns against his former team. And then you flip sides of the ball, Jared Goff, the guy is just, he's been having a rough outing, right? So I think that, yeah, I don't think he's going to have revenge. I think if anything, they are going to know what they can do against their former quarterback as far as the Rams defense, right? They're missing Frank Ragnow's out of the lineup for the rest of the year for the Lions, so that's going to allow Aaron Donald to eat up the middle of the defense. That's going to allow Leonard Floyd to collapse on Jared Goff. So we like I say every week with Jared Goff, we know what we're going to get out of him. It's going to be a touchdown. It's going to be a turnover, either an interception or a fumble by him. Maybe he can put together 2 or 3 touchdown drives against this Rams defense, but it's just not going to be enough. I think the Rams walk all over the Lions. They win like a 35-17 type of win tomorrow. And then I'm going to go ahead and keep it moving. We got the Chicago Bears traveling down to my area here in Tampa to face the Bucs. And let's just go ahead and dive into Chicago's injury report. Tashaun Gibson, he's out with his hip injury, and then looks like about roughly around like 8. I think it's about 8 players are questionable. Jakeem Grant with his ankle, Akeem Hicks with a groin, Caleb Johnson with a knee, Khalil Mack with a foot, Allen Robinson with an ankle, J.P. Holtz with a quad, Bilal Nichols with a knee, and then Duke Shelley with his ankle injury. And then on the Bucs side, these 4 players are out. Antonio Brown with an ankle, Levante David with an ankle, Rob Gronkowski with his ribs, Richard Sherman with a hamstring, and then these 2 players are questionable. O.J. Howard with an ankle, Jason Pierre-Paul with a shoulder and hand. So yeah, with this matchup, I think the Bucs should be able to handle their business. Starting with their offense, I think that even though they're going to be out with Antonio Brown, Rob's been out for a while. I think O.J. Howard does eventually play. But they are going against the Bears defense, which is, they're very good up front. So they can maybe somewhat harass Tom Brady like they did in that matchup last year. I could see maybe at times this Bucs offense having some stall drives, but eventually I think the talent will take over. I think Leonard Fournette could have a good game between on the ground and in the air in the passing attack. And then I think Chris Godwin and Mike Evans will be able to work the outside. And if I remember right, I think this is the game O.J. Howard tore his Achilles last year against the Bears. It might have been, and I could see him wanting to have his big game against the team that he suffered his injury against. If I'm right on that, maybe I should have done the right thing and looked into that. But yeah, I think it might be like a quote unquote down day for the Bucs offense, but I still think they should be able to score 3 to 4 touchdowns. It just might not be at a consistent rate. It just might be throughout the game. And then you flip sides of the ball. Justin Fields, I think, is going to have a rough outing just because he's going against a great defensive front that is going to shut down Khalil Herbert and any potential rushing attack, and that's going to put everything on Justin Fields' back. And unless he can absolutely have a blow-up game, remember a couple of years ago that Daniel Jones had his blow-up game against the Bucs as a rookie. Maybe Justin Fields does. So, but I don't see it happening. There's just that offense has been ugly and clunky for the most part of the year. And I know they've shown some good things at times on the ground with David Montgomery when he was in the lineup, and then Khalil Herbert as well. But unless sorry about that, guys. If I got a little bit of a runny nose there. Unless anything positive happens, like maybe they take advantage of the banged up secondary. Allen Robinson really hasn't done much this year, but yeah, I just don't see it happening. I think the Bucs handle their business. I think at some point they just jump out to a 2-score lead, and then they just get the rushing attack going, and then they just play clock control, and they leave with a victory. I think the Bucs win like a 28-17 type of win tomorrow. Now, speaking of a game I'm probably going to be able to easily pick, we got the Houston Texans traveling out to Arizona to face the Cardinals. Taking a look at the Texans injury report, Jaleel Johnson is out with a back injury. And then we have 3 players are questionable. Justin Britt with a knee, Chris Conley with a neck, and then Nico Collins with a foot. And then these number of players are, these 2 players are out for the Cardinals. Daryl Daniels with a hamstring, Rashard Lawrence with a calf, and then these 3 players are questionable. Jordan Hicks with a toe and ankle, Devon Kennard with a shoulder, and then Tanner Vallejo with a hand. I'll be very quick with this guy. The Cardinals are going to walk all over the Texans. Texans are just a very bad team. I know they were very competitive to start the year for whatever reason, but we're starting to see who the real Texans are. We saw the Colts completely dominate them in that 31-3 win last week. And as much as I love my Colts, the Cardinals are a way better team right now than the Colts. So I don't see how that will change. Plus, let's add in the factor that DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt are getting their first game against their former team. So they know they're going to want to get their team to be fired up and just take it to this Texans team. Kyler Murray's going to probably throw for 300 yards and 3+ touchdowns. That defense is probably going to harass. J.J. Watt's probably at least going to get a sack or 2, maybe force a fumble off the rookie quarterback. It's going to be a completely dominant performance. I'm not even going to dive into how the Texans. I mean, how would the Texans win this game? Maybe this is the game that's a surprising upset. I don't know. I don't see that one happening at all. It's just going to be a rough outing. I think the Cardinals handle their business. They're going to win like a 35-10 win, 35-7 win. I just don't see how the Texans have anything positive going for them tomorrow. And then we'll go ahead and move into the next matchup. We got the Sunday Night Football matchup. The Colts are traveling to San Francisco to force the 49ers. It sounds like they're going to have monsoon type of rain going on on Sunday night, so it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. Starting with the injury report, as sad as this is for me as a Colts fan, because the kid was playing really good football the last 2 weeks. Julian Blackmon, their starting free safety, is done for the season. He tore his Achilles in practice this week. And then these players are out. Braden Smith with a foot and thumb injury, Kamiko Toure with a groin, Rocky Sin with an ankle, and then Jordan Wilkins with a non-injury illness is out. And then T.Y. Hilton, they list him as questionable with the quad because it's T.Y. because you never know if he'll play. But Frank Reich did say he doesn't think T.Y. will be able to give it a go. So that's unfortunate after T.Y. made his big return. I thought he was going to be able to be fine this week, but you never know with T.Y. He could wake up feeling on the bright side of this injury tomorrow, and he might be able to play. Stay tuned to that. But on the 49ers side, Javon Kinlaw's out with a knee, Trey Lance is out with a knee, Maurice Hurst is out with a calf, and then this one's huge, I think, in my opinion. Trent Williams, their left tackle, is doubtful with an ankle and elbow, and then Marcel Harris is questionable with his thumb. It's going to be very interesting to see how these teams battle out, in my opinion, because both teams are sitting below 500 right now. Both teams need this win to make sure they can stay in the playoff race and in the hunt potentially for the division title. More on the Colts side for the division title. The 49ers are kind of really behind right now on the Rams and Cardinals. They're more of a need this win to stay in the playoff hunt more than anything. But yeah, let's just start with the Colts offense. I mean, it's really coming along right now. Jonathan Taylor is hitting on full cylinders. Carson Wentz, man, he's looked good this season. I'm not even just in the wins, but overall, outside that one Titans game when he had both sprained ankles, he's played some good football for the most part this year. And they're humming on all cylinders, but they're playing really good football right now. Quentin Nelson is likely going to play. He needs to be activated off the IR today. I think that's going to happen. So they get Quentin Nelson back, and that's where I think this is going to open up things for the Colts. Because when you look at the injury report for the 49ers, Javon Kinlaw is out. He's their top interior defensive lineman. Maurice Hurst is a rotational player on the interior of the defensive lineman. So that's 2 players on the interior of the the defensive line for San Francisco that won't be playing. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to work Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, And whoever it is, they're going to rotate guys with Chris Reed and Mark Lewinsky. I think they're going to get the ground game going on the inside. And then what that's going to open up is once that gets going on the inside, especially in that rain matchup, that is going to open up things for Carson on the play action to take shots to Michael Pittman Jr., to take shots with Mo Alley Cox. I think Kylan Granson could have a good game. And then they're going to need a guy like Zach Pascal, maybe their rookie Mike Strawn to show up in the passing attack. But I think it's going to be a nice mixture of Jonathan Taylor sprinkled in with Naheem Hines, even some Marlon Mack. And they're going to get that ground game going, and they're going to put themselves in the scoring position more times than not to leave with either with field goals or touchdowns throughout the night. Now, the flip sides of the ball, Kyle Shanahan is always going to get his offense to perform no matter who's on the field. So even without Trent Williams, they are going to be able to play efficient football at times in this game. Jimmy Garoppolo he can be an efficient quarterback at times, but I know he's not listed out on the final injury report, but he still might be dealing with something with that calf injury. So if the Colts defense I wrote this up in my Colts Wire articles. If you guys want to go check that out, go to coltswire.com to check it out. If they can bottle up this rushing attack of Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, the rookie running backs, and they can force this 49ers offense to lean on a limited Jimmy Garoppolo that in a potential rain game, that's how they can slow down this rushing attack. If they can keep everything in front of them, not allow any type of explosive plays with Deebo Samuel, and maybe even make sure you keep an eye on Brandon Ayuk. I know he's having a rough sophomore slump, but I still believe in that kid's talent. So they can't overlook what he could bring to this offense. So if they can keep those two guys in check, I think that I like their chances by the time it gets to the fourth quarter. But like I said, I still think the 49ers can put together like 2 to 3 touchdown drives throughout the night. I think it's going to be a back and forth battle. I think both teams are going to put on a great performance. But I think it's going to come down to who has the ball last, who's the better quarterback. That's what when it's these type of matchups, when I think they're both about even teams, I'm going to go down to who I think the better quarterback is. I've always thought this guy was the better quarterback. This guy's been playing like the better quarterback this year. I'm going with my man, Carson Wentz. He finds a way to put together a fourth quarter drive to give the Colts the lead. And this time around, the Colts actually do close it out in the fourth quarter. I think the Colts sneak away with a victory. They win 20. What was my score? I just submitted my score prediction on Colts Wire. I think it was 27-4. Yeah. Colts win 27-24 in San Francisco. And then let's go ahead and move into the Monday night matchup. We got the New Orleans Saints coming off their bye week. They're heading up to Seattle to face the Seahawks. Now, again, these aren't the final injury reports for both teams. That will come out later today. But as far as yesterday's practice report for the Saints, these number of players did not practice. Dwayne Washington with a neck, Deontay Harris with a hamstring, Taysom Hill with a concussion, Chris Hogan with a non-injury related, and then Blake Gillikin with an illness, Peyton Turner with a calf, and then these two players have been limited. Teron Armstead with an elbow, Eric McCoy with a calf. And then on the Seattle side, these 4 players did not practice yesterday. Alex Collins with a groin, Damian Lewis with a shoulder, and then Darrell Taylor with a neck, DK Metcalf with a foot, and sorry guys, I do need to wrap this up because my battery power is getting low, and Brandon Shell with an ankle injury. That's my fault for not plugging in my charger before I started recording. So why don't I just go ahead and quickly go through this last part before my phone dies, and so I can get this out to you guys. But yeah, really quick with this game, I think what's going to happen is I just don't trust Geno Smith, to be quite honest. I think the Saints, they're getting a lot of guys back off of IR. So I think their defense is going to be able to take advantage of a not that great Seahawks offensive line, especially if Damian Lewis can't play. That's going to allow them to get pressure on Geno Smith, and that's going to force Geno Smith to either turn the ball over or their drives are going to stall. And I just don't see much out of that Seahawks offense, especially if DK is less than 100%. Alex Collins, if he can't go, they're going to have to depend on Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny will be coming off IR, but we already know he's always subject to leaving games with injuries. So unless Rashad Penny would completely ball out, I just don't trust the Seahawks offense. I think they could score maybe 2 or 3 times, but I just don't know if that's going to be enough. And then you flip sides of the ball. I mean, the Saints offense is so weird this year. Some games they look great, some games they look really bad. But they're going against the Seahawks defense, which has been struggling to stop the run. They've been struggling to stop the pass. So I think we're going to see a really good game out of Alvin Kamara. I think Jameis, he might throw a turnover or two in this game, but I think he's going to be able to work the offense with no matter who he's throwing the ball to. Marquez Callaway, maybe Adam Troutman or somebody in the tight end group can show up for him this week. And I think he's going to be able to put together, 2 to 3 touchdown drives. I do think it's going to be close because I do think either team is not that great. They're kind of like right there in the middle of the pack, even with the Seahawks only having Geno Smith. I'll say this, if Russell Wilson was playing, I probably would easily pick the Seahawks. But I think the tide is turning for the Saints. They're getting healthier. The Seahawks are not getting health. They're dealing with more injuries that are more impactful into this game. I think the Saints find a way to win on the road against that 12 environment. They win let's say they win like a 24-21 type of win on Monday night. So yeah, that's my video for you guys today. As always, if you have not yet liked the video, hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber of mine, please subscribe to my channel so you can keep up with all my videos throughout the season when I do my fantasy videos in this video. And I will always be continuing to do football videos all throughout the year. Once it's the off season, I'm gonna do draft videos and all that type of stuff. I got some ideas already in my head. So please subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Go check out the Prospect Encyclopedia at prospectencyclopedia.com. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here so I can get this edited and published for you guys. You enjoy your weekend. Enjoy these Week 7 matchups. I'll see you on Tuesday when I do my waiver wire targets and my streamable defenses. And by the way, go check out those videos if you haven't yet. Peace out, guys. Enjoy your weekend.